Today we complete Genesis chapters 49 through 50. I will read key passages and I encourage you to read the full chapters on your own. The full reading reference is provided for you below. In Genesis chapter 49 and 1, Jacob calls his sons together. Gather around so I can tell you what will happen to you in days to come. This is more than a farewell. It is prophetic. He is speaking into their future and the future of what will come through them. 49, 2-4, he begins with Reuben. Though he is the firstborn, he loses his position because of instability. Y'all, position does not replace character. In Genesis 49, 5-7, Simeon and Levi are addressed. Because of their violence, they are scattered. Actions have long-term consequences. Then everything shifts in Genesis 49, 8-10. Jacob speaks over Judah. The scepter will not depart from Judah. Authority and leadership are tied to this line. This is not just about Judah, it points forward. God is establishing something that will continue beyond this moment. In Genesis 49, 13-21, the other sons are blessed according to their roles. Each one is different. God's purposes are specific. 49, 22-26, Joseph is described as faithful, a faithful vine whose branches climb over a wall. He was attacked, but not overcome. God sustained him through every season. Genesis 49 and 28. These are the 12 tribes of Israel. What began as a family is now a people. Genesis 49, 29-33, Jacob gives instruction for his burial and then dies. A generation is closing, but the promise continues. Then Genesis 50 begins with mourning. Genesis 51-3, Joseph weeps over his father. Grief is present, even in faith, y'all. Genesis 54-13, Jacob is buried in Canaan. The land still matters. God's people still matters, even in death. In Genesis 50 and 15, Joseph's brothers become afraid. What if Joseph holds a grudge against us? Even after reconciliation, fear can remain. 50 and 17, they ask for forgiveness again. 19-20, Joseph responds, "Do not be afraid. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." This is clarity. Joseph now fully understands what God was doing all along. In Genesis 50 and 21, he reassures them and continues to provide for them. Forgiveness is not partial, it is complete. 50 and 24, Joseph says, "God will surely come to your aid and take you up out of this land." Even at the end, he is looking ahead. In Genesis 50 and 25, he makes them promise to carry his bones. He believes God will fulfill his word. Genesis 50 and 26, Joseph dies. Genesis closes, but not the promise. What do these chapters show us? Let's get into this. Blessing is shaped by character. Genesis 49, 3-7. God's plan moves through specific people and purposes. Genesis 49 and 10. What begins as a family becomes a nation. Genesis 49 and 28. And grief and faith can exist together. Genesis 50 and 1. Forgiveness releases what was done. 50 and 20. God's purpose overrides human intention. Genesis 50 and 20. And faith looks beyond one lifetime. Genesis 50, 24-25. Now, connection across scripture. Let's do it. The promise over Judah in Genesis 49 and 20 points forward to the rest of scripture. Joseph's words in Genesis 50 and 20 connect to Romans 8 and 28. Forgiveness here reflects Ephesians 4 and 32. Joseph's forward-looking faith connects to Hebrews 11 and 12. Throughout Genesis, we see God calling, correcting, preserving, and promising, and he remains consistent. I encourage you to read Genesis chapters 49 and 50 in full. Y'all watch how God speaks through blessing, how he redeems what was broken, and how his promises extend beyond one lifetime. Genesis ends, but God's plan continues. The story continues tomorrow in the book of Exodus.